Let's Cover That podcast is brought to you by CM&F Group, professional liability services for over 200 healthcare professions. Visit our website at cmfgroup.com/podcast for more info.
Hey everybody, another episode of Let's Cover That with Will Sullivan and my co-host,
Antonina Aguirre. And today we have with us Andrea Ippolito, the CEO and founder of SimpliFed. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So Andrea, tell us what inspired you to start SimpliFed.
Yeah, so my background is in biomedical engineering, and this is my second company that I've co-founded and have a background in the federal government and as a senior advisor to the Secretary at VA surrounding technology modernization. But what inspired me to start SimpliFed based on that background is I had my first daughter, May. She was born early. She was born underweight. And I had a heck of a time with breastfeeding. And I also learned that most parents both breastfeed and use formula, but the entire care pathway was super fragmented. Parents felt very judged in the process. And I also learned that under the Affordable Care Act, health plans are required to cover breastfeeding support starting during pregnancy at no cost to families. And most health plans were not in compliance with that. So based on my own personal lived experience, seeing that, holy moly, there is supposed to be coverage for breastfeeding support, right? Breasts are organs after all. There are trained healthcare professionals that can work with families one-on-one to help support them in their baby feeding goals. Learned that this is a huge opportunity. And so that's what inspired us to start SimpliFed.
How do you envision it changing the landscape of breastfeeding and breastfeeding services?
So our big mission is to democratize access to baby feeding support services in a non-judgmental way. So what do I mean by that? So SimpliFed starts working with families during pregnancy. We provide 100% virtual appointments, and we do a prenatal education appointment to do a lot of listening to understand parents' goals and whether those goals are breastfeeding, formula feeding, combo feeding, pumping. And then we design a plan that works for them. If their goal is to get some sleep at night, so how might they get their partner involved with bottle feeding and pumping, say during the day, or formula feeding? We work with them. If their goal is fully breastfeeding, we got your back. If your goal is fully formula feeding, we also got your back. And after baby's born, we continue to help support them however they're feeding their baby with latching, positioning, dealing with pain, oversupply, undersupply, selecting a breast pump, getting size for a breast pump. A lot of folks are using the wrong breast pump, and that's causing them lots of pain or impacting their supply. Combo feeding, formula feeding, all of these things, we work with them via our virtual platform in an ongoing way at no cost to them, covered by their health plan. And we have national Aetna commercial contracts. We have several Medicaid contracts. We serve all military families via TRICARE. So our goal is to truly change this landscape and improve access to services. However, it doesn't stop there. And SimpliFed is doing something that doesn't sound controversial, but it weirdly is. And that we are a breastfeeding support organization that also distributes formula. Right now, most parents in the US both breastfeed and use formula, but sadly, they face an extraordinary amount of judgment. They face it from family and friends and healthcare providers and hospital after giving birth. And SimpliFed believes it's a woman's right to choose however they want to feed their baby. And even if you exclusively breastfeed, we know that parents face judgment about where and when and how long. And also, let's be real, there's foster parents, adopted parents who can't breastfeed. And we know that parents often have to go back to work. Some studies showing 1 in 4 going back to work within 2 weeks because there's no paid parental leave in this country. And they all need feeding options to help support that transition, including pumping and, dare I say, formula. So that's why we've taken this very strong stance that no matter how you feed your baby, at SimpliFed, we got your back. You can go to our site and get access to lactation support that is under federal law mandated to be covered by health plans. We partner with companies to improve access to breast pumps. So we partner with Byram Healthcare to get access to insurance-covered breast pumps, which is also mandated and required under federal law. And most recently, we've also started providing access and offering access to formula via our partnership with Nature's One Babies Only formula. And this formula is super affordable. You can get access to a subscription so that it comes to you easily. And this is critical in light of an ongoing formula shortage. So a big part of what we're focused on is providing improved access to resources and offerings, no matter how you feed your baby, because we want healthy babies and we want healthy moms. And a healthy mom is one that has the freedom to choose how to feed her baby in a way that she wants, that protects her physical and mental health.
Yeah, that's really great, Andrea, and just experiencing it myself as a father, and the the first real intake is once you become, hey, we've had the child, now we're in the hospital, and now let's introduce this lactation consultant if you want to. And but so when you think of that, it's one of the most difficult, trying times of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and then you're introduced to this new kind of player in the healthcare mix for you, and it's so personal. So the way you're setting it up, you kind of set the stage in the prenatal narrative, and then you're there afterwards. So just walk us through, how do you build that trust, especially because it's virtual, and how that juxtaposes with the on-site person coming through, and clearly, like, you're building so much great trust there because you're there every step of the way. So how's that building trust work for you?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you're asking this because this is so critical, right? Baby feeding is so tied to your mental health. And so it's so important that you have someone that you trust, that will validate you, that will also not judge you. And so, how we build trust is a few different ways. One is we love when the parents that we have the privilege to serve refer us, because that's the best way to build that trust. Someone that you know and love and trust refers. So that's one. Secondly, is our vision with SimpliFed is to bring baby feeding to better connect to the existing healthcare system, because that's the best way we know we're going to make systems change. So what are the pieces of that? One is that these services are covered by your health plan at no cost to you starting during pregnancy. And the second piece of that, and how we build that trust and folks find out about us, is by via referrals from their existing healthcare providers. So what does that look like? During pregnancy, healthcare providers such as OBs, family medicine will refer to us, say at 28 weeks or 37 weeks as part of the appointment. And we do a prenatal baby feeding education appointment covered by your health plan. And those appointments, what we do is do a lot of listening. So if your goal is to get, as I was saying earlier, some sleep or be able to bottle feed, let's talk about that. All right, and what are the tools and resources you need to make that happen? Is it a breast pump? Is it formula? Is it a few different types of breast pumps? Do you need one that is, say, like a Medela that is that's a plug-in or a battery pack that will be going to work with you, what have you? And you need one that is wireless, that, say, if you're going to be on the go a lot and traveling a lot. And so let's design a plan. Is that formula feeding, and how you make that decision on which formula and safe preparation and use of formula. And so we work with the healthcare system, get referrals, and then we also do a lot of educational content out there. We offer free baby feeding classes. So no matter what, folks can come to us. We have a prenatal baby feeding class. We have a postpartum class. We have a pumping class, and we have a dads/partners class, because we hear a lot from partners that they feel so helpless, that they see their partner and wife struggling and they want to be there for them. And so we do a partner and dad class. And again, these are all free. And so that's a way for folks to get a taste of who we are and how we approach baby feeding in a very inclusive, non-judgmental way. And again, that all helps build trust.
That's really amazing, Andrea. And how do you feel some of the biggest challenges and opportunities in the telehealth industry, are impacting kind of what you do? And then how do you see that evolving to meet the changes?
Yeah, so we think it's so critical that our services are delivered via telehealth, because we know that in-person lactation and baby feeding support from specialists is critical, and having that elbow to elbow is important. And we also think it's important to have access to virtual support, because let's be real. I'm a 26-week-old pregnant woman, my third daughter right now. Going to another appointment when I'm waddling around, it's a pain in the butt. When you're postpartum, having to travel to another appointment with your newborn is a whole nother ball game too. And having to strap that little tiny newborn baby into a car seat and go to another appointment. And we find it's absolutely essential to get access to ongoing support where and when you need it. And so when do folks need breastfeeding and baby feeding support? In the middle of the night or on weekends or on nights. Like the clinic hours that are available from 8 to 4 don't lend itself well to the needs of new parents, and especially those that have newborn. And we also know that having access is important for folks that say don't have access to cars. One of the use cases or stories we often hear from patients is, I don't have enough money to put gas in my car to go to another appointment. Like we have had patients tell us that verbatim. And so by providing improved access into your own home, it's critical. And then the other thing I'll say about virtual, and then I'll more directly answer your question, is that by being in the home setting or wherever they're going to be doing their baby feeding, our providers can say, all right, show us where you're going to be baby feeding. Let's go to that couch. Let's go to that chair. Put up your arm there. Oh, that's the reason why you're actually having difficulties with your latch, or that's why it's causing pain, is because you need to adjust. Whereas when you're doing that in a sterile clinical setting, it's not actually realistic of how you're going to actually be feeding your baby, which is a no days off, all day activity often. And so being in a home setting and being able to get that expert evidence-based provider support is critical. So what we've seen, I've spent the last 13 years in telehealth, even before starting SimpliFed, based on some of my work in grad school and then at the VA. And sadly, COVID took a tragedy to get the adoption of telehealth. Patients have actually always liked telehealth, to be real. It was the adoption on the provider side. And so now providers have bought into it because they've had to do it. They got a taste of it during the pandemic. And so we're excited to see some policy change in this arena so that folks can truly get improved access to care, especially those that have been underserved, because this will, like we were saying about not having to travel to appointments, this will change the game in improving access to care. And we know that patients love it and they appreciate it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So just for recent news for you, can you just give us a rundown? At the American Telemedicine Association, you won an award. Why don't you give us a quick rundown about the amazing platform that you have, but also getting the recognition that you're getting?
Oh, well, thanks for asking that. Yeah, so American Telemedicine Association had their annual conference, and they do a big innovation challenge, and they had several different categories. One of the categories was, women's health, femtech, and we presented as part of that to an incredible panel of judges. And, we won that category. And then to our really pleasant surprise, we won overall judge's choice from the entire competition too. And we think it's because our mission very much resonates. There's a huge need. Let's be real. The US is the most dangerous place to deliver a baby of developed nations. That's a tragedy in itself. And women's health and maternal health needs a redesign. And a key part of that is baby feeding and breastfeeding. And a lot of folks don't often make that association, but they're so tied. Baby feeding is crazy tied to mom's mental health. And our mission of serving families, no matter how they feed their baby, whether that's breastfeeding, formula feeding, pumping, and democratizing access to tools and resources, and especially on the support side, covered by health plans at no cost to families, truly resonates with people, especially during this crazy critical time, and where we actually, there's this quote, and I forget who said it, but we would often say it when I worked in government, never let a good crisis go to waste. And the maternal health crisis in this nation is real, and it's long overdue to be tackled. And so getting that award at the ATA was great validation of that. And it's part of this larger movement. And we're part of the many, 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 many people in a chorus of folks that are tackling this arena. And so it was nice to get that validated at ATA.
Cool about what you're doing, Andrea, is it's support to scale. There's a point of access in the hospital after you have the child, but the continuum that you're hitting, and with your background in government as well, with the VA, it's just incredible because there's so many services provided that are all brick and mortar, whether it's the WIC programs, the women, infant, children, trying to get formula, you have to go places to get these services, and be able to meet them where they are just really is incredible. So it's wonderful work. Thank you.
No, thanks for
Yeah, really wonderful. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Oh, no, it's been a blast, and it's very much resonated with folks because everyone, if they don't have that lived experience, they have a family member or friend that's been there, and this is not talked about enough, and how breastfeeding and baby feeding is so connected to mom's physical and mental health. So it's been such a privilege to be able to be in the arena.
Amazing. So Andrea, before we wrap up the episode, is there anything else you'd love for our listeners to know about you and SimpliFed?
Yeah, I mean, I would love for folks to know that they have access to the support covered by their health plan at no cost to them starting during pregnancy. And a lot of times when folks think about baby feeding, they think that's a later problem after they have a baby. And we know that setting expectations surrounding baby feeding is so critical during pregnancy. And we know because often, and I certainly didn't with my first kiddo, that, if breastfeeding is your choice, your milk doesn't come in for often 3 to 5 days. And it's often droplets at first. And a lot of parents think they're failing before they are. That impacts their mental health. So we think it's really important to work with them one-on-one to set expectations, but also to design a plan so they can figure out how to make baby feeding work for them in their life and give them the freedoms that they need so they're not constantly tethered and anchored to baby feeding, and create a plan that works for them. And so folks should come check out our website, simplifed.com. That's SimpliFed. It's going to want to autocorrect to simplified, but it's SimpliFed. Or check us out on social at SimpliFedBaby, and share this resource with your family and friends. We are covered by many commercial, Medicaid, and TRICARE plans. So ask your employer to make sure that your health plan covers this, because it is your right under federal law to have access to this. So come check us out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andrea. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
And that's another episode of Let's Cover That.